Russia has slowly been increasing its influence on Europe's economy, and gas plays a pivotal role. This is because over 40% of Europe's gas supply comes from Russia. Let's take a moment to consider that. Half the heat generated in our homes comes by burning Russian gas that flows in pipelines laid all the way from Russia to various parts of Europe. The second largest supplier in Europe is Norway, far behind, contributing under 20% of the total gas used. Being the dominant supplier of gas, Russia has huge political leverage on Europe, and this has become all the more evident during the ongoing Ukraine crisis in 2022. How does all this affect me, you might ask? Consumers in Europe spend 2.5% of their annual income on gas bills at the moment. However, gas prices rose fivefold in 2021, raising concerns that the end customer will be hit hard by higher bills. This price surge was driven by various factors, including an economic rebound as COVID restrictions are lifted, a long winter in Europe and East Asia in 2020-21, Europe's coal phase-out, and a bad year for wind power. However, Russia played a key role in fueling and sustaining such unprecedented price levels, as we will explore further in this video. For that, we need a bit of background into the gas market. Europe currently produces about 10% of its own gas, mostly from the North Sea, around UK, the Netherlands and Norway. The rest of its supply comes from either Russia, Norway and North Africa via pipelines, or shipped as a supercool liquid carried on large cargo ships from countries such as Qatar, US, Angola, Algeria, and increasingly Russia. The supply from the North Sea, however, has been declining rapidly over the last decade, and the trend is only going to continue. For example, the UK went from being a net exporter of gas in 2013 to importing more than half of its supply in 2021. Norway, the second largest supplier in Europe, has already reached peak production. And so, Russia is best positioned to fill this gap, and their market share in European gas is likely to go from 41% to 50%. So how dependent exactly are we on Russia? This depends on which country you live in. There is significant regional variation within Europe. Some eastern countries like Finland and the Baltics are almost entirely dependent on Russia. Germany, the political and economic heart of Europe, gets half its gas supply from Russia, and this dependency is only set to increase. To really get to the heart of the matter, we need to understand a bit more about the pipelines that carry the bulk of gas from Russia. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, most Russian gas flowed to Europe via existing pipelines transiting Ukraine. However, this was costing Russia $1.2 to $2 billion in fees every year. Not wanting to be so reliant on Ukraine, they set about laying out new pipelines through other routes. The first was through Belarus and Poland in the 1990s, followed by two more pipelines, Turkstream and Bluestream, running under the Black Sea, all collectively serving to increase Europe's reliance on Russia. However, the real game changer was Nordstream 1. Completed in 2011 at a cost of $15 billion, it was the longest subsea gas pipeline in the world and connected Russia directly to Germany, their largest European consumer. It now carries 40% of all Russian gas exports to the EU, cementing Europe's dependency on Russia. Apart from the obvious political advantages, the Nord Stream 1 pipeline is 37% cheaper for Russia compared to the route through Ukraine. Linking all this to the current situation with Ukraine is Nord Stream 2, a twin pipeline to Nord Stream 1, built by a consortium led by Gazprom, Russia's state-backed energy giant. Construction had been challenging, with the US imposing sanctions on companies involved in the project, until an agreement with Germany allowed the pipeline to be completed in 2021. However, the 1,200-kilometer Nord Stream 2 is still waiting for regulators in Germany to allow it to operate. Running across the Baltic Sea, the €10 billion project is designed to double the amount of natural gas flowing from Russia straight to Germany. Together, Nord Stream 1 and 2 will help Russia completely bypass Ukraine. Kiev would lose out on the €1.8 billion in transit fees it earns on gas passing through its territory. Ukraine says it is being punished for its warm relations with the West and have long been lobbying the West to stop Nordstream 2. The United States sees the pipeline as a Russian geopolitical tool to undermine Europe's energy and national security. With war imminent in Ukraine, it remains to be seen whether Europe is more dependent on Russia or Russia on Europe. Apart from piped gas and LNG, there is one other critical source of gas in winter: Europe's underground storage. This storage is filled up in the summer when demand is low and is critical in ensuring that we have enough gas in reserve in case of unexpectedly cold winters. Russia has influenced over 30% of Europe's storage capacity. In the summer of 2021, Russia did not refill their storage sites in Europe. This was absolutely unprecedented, and it meant that Europe started the season without having enough of a buffer in case of a longer or unusually colder winter. This created panic in the market and played a big role in driving European gas prices to all-time highs. In addition to undersupply in storage, delivery through pipelines was also significantly lower. Europe received a 66% lower gas supply via Ukraine and 80% lower supply via Poland. However, Nord Stream 1, Russia's only direct access to Europe, ran at full capacity, sending a clear signal to the EU. Coming back to our initial question, what does all this mean for the common person living in Europe? This chart shows the dramatic rise in wholesale gas prices in 2021. According to Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, this five-fold increase was driven by Russia deliberately delivering as little gas as possible. Since around 20% of all electricity used in Europe is also generated by burning gas, wholesale power prices also skyrocketed. This unprecedented four-fold price increase in electricity and five-fold increase in gas prices will be passed on to the end consumer unless governments decide to step in. The situation can get significantly worse if Russia invades Ukraine and the West puts Nord Stream 2 on hold and imposes new economic sanctions. However, for sanctions to be truly effective, the US and EU will have to stay united. This will be especially difficult in the face of an already fragmented EU and their disproportionate reliance on Russia, while the US stays self-sufficient for all its energy needs. Germany's finance minister has said that Russia could retaliate against Western sanctions by cutting off gas supplies. This would cripple Europe's largest economy. Historically, Russia has been a reliable supplier of natural gas to Germany, even at the height of the Cold War. But this time could be different.